Hey guys, how's it going? Comparing here. Today I want to talk about a pretty interesting card, one that's been shunned away a lot and I haven't really had too much of a chance to play with it, but I feel that now after a few months that GVG has been released, I have had just enough to really understand the card. Of course, I'm talking about Dark Wispers, the epic introduced in GVG for the Druids, and it's one of those choose one type of cards that Druids have so many of. It's 6 mana, choose one, summon 5 Wisps, which are 1/1 creatures that don't have any abilities, or give a minion 5/5 taunt. So it's a card that has many different type of effects, but the reason you don't really see this card in Constructed is because, as you guys will see through my explanation, it's just not really good enough. In Constructed, a lot of people are running big game hunters, a lot of people are running aggressive decks, so on turn 6 you really have to do more than just pump a creature, because the aggressive decks are the decks that are running silence, so giving something, 5/5 and taunt is just too much. It just gets silenced, you use up your entire turn for basically a battle cry, you lose more life, it's basically steamrolls out of hand. If they have a big game, and everyone has a big game because of Dr. Boom right now, playing this might actually be a bad thing. If you have like a 4/4 creature, you give it +5/+5, so 9/9 taunt, but then big game's like, oh, thanks, bro. So it's really not very good. The closest card to the effect is Mark of the Wild, and Mark of the Wild is honestly a little bit better. The reason Mark of the Wild is a little bit better is you can just play it earlier in the game, and that's a very big deal. Often you need a taunt, and you don't really need that much of a pump on top of it being a taunt. So it doesn't really serve the defensive role as it does with Mark of the Wild. Mark of the Wild can also be comboed with Black Knight to kill a taunt creature of your opponents, which is kind of cool. And if you're going to combo something with big game for the opponents, you can play these cards on your opponent's creatures. Even Mark of the Wild, it's probably easier to pump like a 5 attack creature than big game his creature. So Mark of the Wild is basically better than Dark Whispers in every way when you use Dark Whispers for the 5/5 taunt effect. Now, when you use it for the 5 Wisps, in Constructed, I have seen this a little bit. Some people have really tried to use it. Mainly, they include a deck with Knife Juggler, they include a deck with a lot of pump-ups, and essentially, you put a bunch of shit on the board and then you Savage Roar and kill them. It's basically the Force of Nature Savage Roar combo decks with kind of a weird card, but it didn't really take off. It's kind of one of those things where, yeah, you can play it, but it's just not better than the existing combo Druid decks. So Dark Whispers has that go for it. It's not really great on one end with the Wisps. It's not really great on one end with the Taunt, but when you really go through all the choose cards, for instance, if you look at like Druid of the Claw, if you remember the Ancient Trees, that kind of shit, it really comes down to all the other choose cards that Druids have available to them are good in both scenarios. What I mean by that is, in terms of value. So like Druid of the Claw, 4/4 charge for 5 mana is pretty good, and 4/6 taunt for 5 mana is extremely good. So you have two good options for the mana cost. But when you look at Dark Whispers, you compare the effect to Mark of the Wild, you compare the effect to something closer, maybe like Blessing of Kings, the Paladin card, +4/+4, yeah, you don't get taunt, but the more mana you get, the more value you expect to get out of it. So, you look at like legendaries start seeing play at 6 mana. You know what you can play instead of Dark Whispers? Or I don't know, like a Sylvanas if you want, so that's why in Constructed, you don't see this card. You probably won't see this card because the effects are too situational, they're not good in the current meta, and the card, for it to see Constructed play, really should cost 1 less mana. However, this card, through some experience, even though when you look at a card it may not seem very good, when you play Arena, it's important to try anyway, because you often are playing just against like random cards, and +5/+5 and taunt, it's hard to really gauge that. Like Druids don't really have that type of an effect. When you play against a Druid, their big taunt threats usually come at 8 mana, and people play around that. Suddenly on turn 6, when you bump like a 5/5 creature to a 10/10 taunt, your opponent might actually have 0 answers. So largely for the buff effect, I think I've used the Wisp effect 0 times in Arena, but because it's an epic, because in Arena it's sometimes hard to get epics, and there are a few epics better than this one, there really aren't that many. The way that you use this card in Arena is primarily use it for an aggressive push. So if you have like a swipe, if you have a Druid of the Claw in hand, you can push for damage while taunting up earlier than your opponent can expect you to do so. And that's really the key. The key is that you can get some extra damage. It's kind of like, you do 5 damage that turn, and you get the big body, and you get the health, and you get the taunt, and it's really threatening. So it's mainly used in that regard, and it's actually pretty good. I have used it in some cases, and often when you're top decking, it really works, because if you have some garbage creature like a 2/2 or something like that, suddenly it's very useful. A 7/7 taunt will often go 2 for 1. And yeah, you invested 2 cards, but it makes use of a good card. So if you want a comparison in Arena, which is often a card-for-card game, in the late stages of the game, like let's say turn 15, let's say you draw an Amani Berserker, right? Or let's just say a 2/3 creature. That 2/3 creature will not trade 1 for 1 for the average 1 card that your opponent might have. But if you play it with Dark Wispers, if it becomes like I mentioned, a 7/8 taunt, suddenly it'll trade for 2 Boulderfist Ogres. So it's really this that makes a card shine. In Arena, it is flexible because people don't really play these mated cards, and the mana costs in Arena are much less relevant. So this card does see some play. It's really cool, it's really strategic, and it does, it does have some pretty explosive games from some of the effects that you'll see. So really the card in that aspect is really not too bad. It's a lot of fun, and I think there are pretty few epics I would choose over it. It'd mostly be the other trees and like Sea Giant, that kind of stuff, but aside from those, Dark Wispers is actually top tier in Arena, even though it may not seem like it. But I still await the buff. I still await this card to cost 5 mana, because then we might actually see some diversity in constructed Druid decks. How about that? But for now, I want to show you guys just how the card performs. These games are probably over the last month or so, just again because it's Druid and because it's an epic, it's kind of hard to draft Dark Wispers, but still I have had some pretty awesome games with the card, and I'm sure you guys will enjoy those, so check them out. Maybe he doesn't. Wow. Question is, do we go for it? I think we do. Because Hex does not win here.
Bring out your dead.
He needs to come up with a kill on the Zombie Chow and on the taunt. And to do that, he needs like a Lightning Storm. That's a win. Holy shit. I'm keeping the Starfire because most Druid decks are really slow and have a lot of swipes. And I'm gonna need value to come back. Right now I have a 2-3-5-5. I'm not apologizing to the Asian Hearth Arena guy. Fuck that guy. I would have fared much better, I think, if I made my picks. He was absolutely right on Dark Wispers so far, though. There's no doubt about that. But on the others, I'm pretty sure hands down I had the calls. So here it's pretty important just to waste his time. I lose to Wrath, but if he Wraths, he uses up his whole turn, and then I have the counter with Stormpike Commando. Okay, so we're just gonna go with the biggest 5-drop we have. This is enough to deal with the Drew of the Claw.
Where shall I strike?
I wish I had Drew of the Claw. So he's gonna kill the 4/2, or he's gonna Starfall, or he's gonna swipe. I think the chance that he swipes is pretty good. But if he doesn't Starfall here, I should be able to do Haunted Creeper, Jungle Panther next turn.
Time waits for no one.
Fuck. This is a bit wasteful, but it's mostly an effort to have him waste this turn. And I really hope he doesn't have a second Starfall. It's a pretty big investment in the Frostwolf Warlord.
Where shall I strike?
Another one. Well, that's why we made the play. Now we are mostly in range to kill Ironbark. Pretty strong.
I must safeguard.
It's got a silence, damn. That's a pretty big investment gone, unfortunately.
All the while. Your magic shall not save you.
Still doing okay. Top deck swipe. Oh, I guess we lose this one. I really can't be starfiring that when I'm this far behind on cards. I need to draw something here. Dark Wispers.
For the crusade!
I think it's time to YOLO. Did he just attack that? Well then. Five whips are better, huh?
Join or die, or both.
That's a good sign. Looks real desperate and all.
I can see.
Alright. That's another one for Dark Whispers.
I must
More paladins. I don't like that 4-drop. I'd rather just get a swipe. I guess it's fine. Okay.
Reporting for duty.
Put this apple on your head.
Avenge is real. Yeah, it could be Avenge.
Guess what ring I just got?
What'd you get?
Just got a Steiner Jordan.
Nice.
Cold one.
Those are the 2 sad cards. Oh, that's another sad card.
I am ready.
For the wild.
It's probably Avenge.
Time waits for no one. Job done.
Okay. Interesting. Great play. I try to set up for a swipe next turn. Yeah, it didn't go very well.
Reporting for duty.
I'm really surprised that he didn't see into that, though.
For the wild.
For a little while, I pack a big punch.
Reporting for duty. Handle it. Where shall I strike? For the wild.
Top deck hammer. That's pretty bad.
Reporting for duty.
I don't want to give him a good weapon, though. Fine. Give him an assassin's blade.
For the wild.
Must cleanse the Sunwell.
Yeah, I have a lot of taunts, so the weapons shouldn't really mean too much unless he has like Peacekeepers, big games, or equalities. If he's gonna silence, I don't mind it too much this turn. This should be able to stabilize. Okay. He needs to consecrate. He's already played 2, I think. Should be fine.
My shield for Argus.
That's kind of annoying.
Reporting for duty.
Taunt again. What?
Move quickly.
What just happened?
Tadingo! Tadingo! For the wild.
He just pyroblasted himself, basically. Yeah, he'll win with a consecrate, but he has to top deck it. Again, he's already played 2, I think, so I should have this game based on that stupid play.
Reporting for duty.
I think the best play here is to if I swipe that and hero power that, it's a 50-50. If I don't get it, I clear the board. If I swipe that, it's 50-50. If I kill him, if I kill the taunt, he would die to the Druid of the Claw. What's the 100% lethal? I'm 1 mana short from it.
Time waits for no one.
Swipe on taunt? That's retarded. Miss. Raped. I don't think there was a 100% lethal there. Calculated. Well, if the ogre landed his attack, it was fine as well. I had a 50% chance to kill him, and then if the ogre missed, it was 1 out of 3. So I had a 2 out of 3 chance to kill him. 67%.